All right, Bang. Today is Thursday. It's November 14th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports, recording in New York. I'm with my friend Robbie Fox here today. Robbie, I was thinking about this the other day. You're one of those guys where I really enjoy chopping it up with you. And it bothers me we don't do it more.
I know. We should do it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
I love doing the dog walk, love doing the drafts, love doing just the free swims as well.
Yeah, so we're going to get into it today. There's some big combat sport action. Is that the technical term?
Yeah.
Yeah, big fighting weekend. You're the fight guy, amongst other things. I know you're a big movie guy. And your podcast, My Mom's Basement, is one of those things where I'm interested in everything you talk about just a little. Like, it's just like a little scoop for me, you know?
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it. So before we get into everything, I do want to talk about ChevyDriveChicago.com. It's already the holiday season. Your local Chevy dealer has everything you want for your wish list. A new SUV or an Equinox EV, Chevy has the gift you want and need. Find your local Chevy dealer at ChevyDriveChicago.com today. If you're not shopping for a new car and just need to make sure your car is safe and weather ready for the season, your local Chevy dealer service center is the place to go. You can't get stranded in the winter.
No. Oh, my God. I have bad circulation. My hands will get cold.
Yeah.
No, can't happen.
Can't have that. You don't want to be on the side of the road. A, it's dangerous. B, you're going to be very cold. You don't want to be changing a tire or, realizing, oh, no, I'm out of oil. That's would basically wreck your car. So make sure you get everything there at the service center. And like I said, go check out that SUV lineup, the Equinox EV. I drive an EV car. It's good stuff. I like it a lot. Yes. So yeah, always find your local dealer at ChevyDriveChicago.com, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. All right,
the Bears.
The Bears.
That's what they say, right? The Bears.
You got it.
Yep.
You got it. SNL. All right. Do we want to start with UFC or do we want to start with Tyson Paul?
I don't know. Like, I'm way more interested in this weekend's UFC fights myself. Like, I'm interested in Tyson versus Paul in that I'm curious how many people they're going to have at the Jerry World. Like, nobody was talking about this fight till a couple of days ago, it feels like. There's no chance that they're selling even a respectable amount at AT&T Stadium, right?
It snuck up on me for sure. It feels like not too long ago where he had to pull out because of a medical issue or whatever it was.
We don't even really know what that was, I don't think.
No.
I think it was a stomach thing. Someone was saying it was something about his stomach.
Was it? Yeah. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, though, if you're in the Dallas area, and listen, we're not in this, we have no skin in the game here, but if I was in the Dallas area and I had the shot to see Mike Tyson
you think
fight,
you would go?
I think I would go.
If
the ticket was reasonable.
To be honest. Yeah, I can't imagine. Maybe it's just I'm being pessimistic. I think there's no chance Tyson puts up a respectable fight here.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos of him talking to Rogan about training for his last fight when he was like, to make that 30-second clip make me look like a killer. I was in bed for the next week just in pain. There's the clips of him with canes on airplanes and stuff. Just feels to me like it's going to be sad. I hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tyson goes in there and knocks out Jake Paul, it will be an all-time sports moment.
Yeah.
Like all time. I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah. Listen, of course, I would never put my money on Tyson. I think Jake Paul wins probably pretty handily. But I'm assuming that he's somewhat a shell of himself. If he's going to limp in there and not be able to get into the ring, of course, then that's going to be a waste of time, waste of money. But I'm a big, I can say that I saw this kind of guy.
Yeah,
and
true.
being able to say that I could see that
you
I saw
watched the Tyson fight live.
Exactly. That would be something that would be cool to say.
And the Netflix thing also helps in that, most of Jake Paul's fights, I'm I'll catch the highlights on Twitter, and I don't even really need to pay attention because it's going to be a boring fight until the highlight happens.
Yeah.
This one being on Netflix on a Friday night as well, it's not like it's competing with UFC. It's all right, I'll probably throw that on.
Yeah, because, he usually is smart about it, does it on a Sunday. This time it's a Friday.
Yep.
So, Netflix does help a lot as well.
Netflix helps. They've had some good clips from the countdown, the 24/7 that they've done. The clip of Tyson being like, he's the manufactured killer. I'm a natural born killer. That was great. I loved that.
And, of course, he said something along the lines of this is the most important fight of his life. which it's like, all right,
I don't know about that, Mike.
That's where you're selling.
Yeah.
Right? He's definitely selling.
But he's making, I think, Jake's making like 40 million, Tyson making 20 million. I think that was the payout. I think Tyson's making half Jake, which is probably fair. I don't know, though, because Jake goes so back and forth. This is going to be such a viewed fight that people are going to say Jake Paul is clearly one of the biggest draws in boxing. I think that's probably true, but I don't think the last couple Jake Paul fights have sold well at all.
No, I think you're right. And you talk about Jerry World. How many fighters or ex-boxers do you think would be able to sell that out besides Tyson?
Canelo can do it. He's done it. He did it a few years ago. Like, if you booked a McGregor fight there, I think he could do it.
Yeah.
And he's talked about it. He went to the Super Bowl when it was there and, like, really wanted to make a push for that. I don't know how many fighters there are outside of those two.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I think Jake would fight McGregor at this point because it's been talked about so much. I don't think he would fight Canelo.
Jake just said, I think this morning, that that's the goal after this. He's like, after this fight, it'll prove that I'm the face of boxing, and then it's me and Canelo at 200 pounds for the Cruiserweight Championship. I don't know if he would do that. Like, Canelo would destroy him. Like, Canelo would hit him with 60 punches before Jake knew the fight, like, the bell rang.
Yeah. So maybe he's just kind of done with the
That could be his, like,
game.
I beat the game, almost. Like, this is like a game for Jake.
Yeah.
And if he could get a fight with Conor or Canelo, he has kind of proved that, like, he made it to the top of the game.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If he's finally like, all right, this is the final stamp.
But at that point, then it almost has to be the retirement fight. It almost has to be like, all right,
you're
like,
done after.
I pulled the cloak over everyone's eyes and made everyone think I was a boxer good enough to beat the best.
Yeah.
Now it's over. I mean, when he fought Tyson Fury's brother, Tommy, it was like he got embarrassed by a guy who sucks.
Mm-hmm. And who's the guy he fought twice? The UFC guy? That Barstool?
Oh, Tyron Woodley.
Yes, Woodley.
Yeah. The first time, he didn't finish him. The second time, he knocked him silly.
I was surprised by that, too.
Yeah.
Were you?
I sort of was. Like, Tyron is he was a shell of himself already. But yeah, I was probably pretty surprised. Like, I've been surprised a lot of his career. Like, going back, I probably thought Ben Askren was going to beat him, and that's like an embarrassing thought at this point.
Yeah, for real.
But Dana did too. It was like, nobody thought he was actually, like, good. We just thought he could beat, like, Nate Robinson.
Yeah, exactly.
And then here he is beating, like, Anderson Silva and shit.
I know. So it's been, all things considered, when you talk about marketing, you talk about setting up a storyline and following through on a Jake Paul is a master.
He is, yeah. And again, it's like you pick the right opponent for him. You pick a Tyson, and it can be one of the biggest fights of the year.
Yeah, for sure. So you said you're more excited for UFC, obviously, because it's, I don't want to say that's not legit fighting, but let's be honest, let's call it what it is.
It's like circus fighting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like more of a spectacle than a fight you're excited for.
Mm-hmm.
UFC, you're like, oh my God, we're going to get some fucking wars. We're going to get sick matchups.
Yes.
A crazy crowd. You know, the environment at MSG every year is crazy. I think Trump's going to be in the building. He's doing the friggin' walkout again.
Oh, is he?
They're saying it might be like one of his first public appearances since he won the election. So it's just going to be like, that's going to be the night everyone's talking about.
For sure. For sure. And I told you before, this is kind of what I want to talk about. I want to talk to you about it because this is probably the most interested I've been in a card in a couple of years, maybe.
That surprised me when you said it. Like, it's a great card, don't get me wrong. But, like, UFC fans might not even say it's the best card of the year because we had 300 this year. We had the amazing International Fight Week card this year, UFC 303. But it is, like, I mean, the top two fights, the main event, the co-main event, are, like...
Huge.
Yeah.
And that's because I'll be transparent. I'm kind of clinging on to 2017, 2018 era.
Okay,
over
fair
there,
enough.
Where like Stipe and Jones were, I know Jones was kind of in and out at that point. It was more like DC. But that was kind of my golden era of UFC. Like that's when I really cared the most. GSP just came back.
Yeah.
You know, that whole trio of Cruz, Dillashaw, and Cody was awesome.
Yep.
Mighty Mouse was still around. Obviously, like we said, Stipe, Jones, DC, McGregor was around. Ron, like that was the peak for me.
Yeah.
And naturally, with how fighting is, people retire, people flame out, whatever. It just slowly kind of lowered and lowered for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people got into it, especially a lot of people at Barstool got into it during the pandemic, actually.
Yeah, I know. That's
it
when
blew up for people, yeah.
Yeah.
The pandemic, you gain a lot of fights. You also lose a lot of live crowd moments. You get the Apex. We just had our 100th event at the Apex this past Saturday, which is insane. I'm not a big Apex guy. I love that the purpose it served for the COVID times, but at this point, I'm like, get back in the arenas. It's always better with a crowd. And Dana agrees.
Yeah, I heard viewing-wise, if you could actually make it into the Apex.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, you've been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sick because it feels like Fight Club. Like, I got to go to Stipe DC at the Apex in the middle of COVID. It was Stipe DC 3, I think, was the final DC fight, and no crowd was involved. It was like 2 media members, me and Kevin Ioli from Yahoo, and it was just an empty warehouse where that heavyweight title fight happened. That was fucking Fight Club.
That's insane.
It was so
sick. That's actually insane.
Did I tell you, did you know Stipe broke my rib this summer, I think?
No, I didn't know that.
I went to UFC 303, the International Fight Week card that McGregor was supposed to headline against Chandler. He pulls out, and I was like, should I pull out too? Like, I was going for McGregor. It's a cross-country flight, and I was like, fuck it. I can't pull out. I can't have people being like, you ain't the UFC guy. You're the McGregor guy. Like, you're a fraud. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go. They do the Fan Expo, too. So it's almost like Comic-Con, but just for UFC. It's, like, awesome. They put us on Radio Row. Stipe was, like, about to go catch a flight, but he's like, hey, I have time to, like, make a quick video. His manager said he's time to make a quick video. So it's me, Stipe, and Cutman Tate, who's going to be here today. Cutman Tate puts the Vaseline on my forehead, and they're like, you'll just go do a face-off with Stipe. Like, it'll be a funny face-off video. It's like, perfect. We do the face-off, and Stipe bear hugs me. Didn't tell me he was going to do it. Bear hugs me. My arms are at my side. Picks me up and shakes me. And, like, the video is funny. I'm like a dead fish flopping around. Immediately as he put me down, I was like, oh, he really squeezed me there. I think he might have broken a rib over here. Because that was on June 29th. It still hurts a little bit to sleep on that side. It's been months. And Jack Mack just got to interview him last week. I was supposed to be in the interview, but I was flying for Putt Punk. And Jack got to tell him. He was like, Robbie's not mad at all. And I'm not. He's like, he's more like disappointed in his own brittle bones. That a hug could injure him.
Yeah.
But Stipe was like, his face, he was just like, oh my God. He's like, tell him to go see a chiropractor. I'm sorry. He's like, I didn't even really squeeze him that hard.
It just shows you the force of that man.
It also shows you how likable he is that he broke my rib, and I'm still like, oh, I hope he fucking kicks Jones' ass this weekend. I don't think he's gonna, but
yeah,
Jones is just, if Stipe wins, I don't see it being like dominant. I see it being a fucking war.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's been like 4 years since Stipe's won a fight, and his last fight was an excruciating knockout to Francis Ngannou. At the same time, Jones the last couple years hasn't been Jones like in his prime.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of almost lost the decision to Dominic Cruz. Kind of almost lost the decision to Thiago Santos, who, like, tore his ACLs in that fight. He looked amazing against Gane. Huh?
Not to Dominic Cruz, right?
No, not to Dominic Cruz.
Oh, God. Yes, you're right. Sorry.
Did I say Dominic Cruz?
Yeah.
I meant, what's his name?
I know who you're talking
Dominic
about.
Reyes.
Yes.
Dominic Reyes.
Yes.
So it's like, there is part of me that's saying to myself, as the biggest Jones hater on the block, maybe Stipe could pull off the impossible.
How big would that moment be for UFC in general?
It'd be so big. The only issue is it seems like both of them want to retire after this fight. Seems like it's going to be a double retirement main event, which is fucking lame when Tom Aspinall is waiting in the wings as the interim champ. And everyone wants to see Aspinall fight the winner of this fight. Everyone thinks it's going to be Jones, right? But even if Stipe won, then boom, that's the biggest fight in the world right now. The biggest fight in the world after this fight is Tom Aspinall versus the winner. And it seems like Jones is going to fucking duck him. He's saying, oh, he hasn't done anything. It's like, he's done a lot more than you had when you got your first title shot.
Do you think Aspinall would beat him right now?
Jones?
Yeah.
I think he would put up the best fight. It's hard to say anyone would beat Jones.
Yeah.
Like, especially what he did to Cyril Gane. Like, I'm saying he hasn't been the Jones in his prime the last few years, but that's just the Jones hater in me speaking. Yeah. He is the GOAT. Like, for sure, the GOAT. So it's like, hard to say he'd beat him, but nobody maybe ever would have a better shot at beating Jones, I think, because Aspinall's a natural heavyweight. Jones moved up to heavyweight. And Aspinall's, like, so well-rounded. He's got a great ground game. He's got a great wrestling game. His power is insane. Like, that's the fucking fight right there.
Yeah.
To beat Stipe, a guy who, again, has been gone 4 years and lost his last fight, and he's getting a title shot. Respect, he's the best heavyweight champ of all time, only guy to defend it 3 times.
Yep.
But to beat him and then be like, I'm done, when someone's waiting in the wings and everyone's being like, that would be the fight to prove your legacy, that'd be lame.
What do you think Dana wants? Obviously, the easy question is he wants him to fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like Dana has so much stock in Jones being the GOAT.
He does.
Like, so much stock.
And Aspinall had a good line. Aspinall's going to be here tomorrow because he's the backup for this fight. So, knock on wood, if someone were to pull out, Aspinall's stepping in. And Aspinall said, he's like, I just hope Dana keeps that same energy. If John Jones is the pound-for-pound GOAT and he's the greatest of all time, he's like, when I beat John Jones, I hope there's not excuses. I hope it's not like, well, he beat him at the end of his career. Well, he was older. Well, he was at a heavyweight. Yeah. He's like, keep that same energy. Mm-hmm. Even though he says that, the last time Aspinall was sitting in that seat, we were like, you think he'll get the Jones fight? He was like, no. He was like, he ain't fighting me.
Never. But I don't know. If Dana really opens up the checkbook, it's...
And it's like, if the UFC could force his hand, not force his hand, but like, if the UFC just fucking cuts to Tom Aspinall right after he wins, it's like, they've brought people in the cage before where they're like...
Yeah, that goes back to me talking about like the 17-18 era. There was supposed to be a resolution with Lesnar.
Yeah.
And it never happened.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many things that we just didn't see out.
Lesnar pushing DC.
Yeah, we never saw that. We never felt like...
I think that was maybe almost them trying to force his hand too. Like, I don't remember the details of it at the time behind the scenes, but like that could have been one of those, like, the UFC wanted it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think DC was down too, because DC and Lesnar are like kind of boys.
Are they?
Yeah.
So they were hamming it up a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there was just so many little things that were on an awesome trajectory. I think they talked about a GSP McGregor super fight. You know, there were many little things.
GSP coming back and beating Bisping was like storybook retirement moment for him.
Yeah, but I don't think he intended to retire after that. Right? I think he wanted like 1 or 2 more fights, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think he wanted to defend the title.
Yeah.
But him and Dana never saw completely eye to eye, I don't think.
Yeah.
GSP and Dana.
Yeah, GSP seems like just a pure fighter.
He actually hates fighting too, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked to him. He's like an anxious guy. He's like, every part of fighting I hate. He's like, once, like, winning fights, and I guess like being in the cage is all right, but he's like the walkout, everything about it. He's like tense, and he's just like, yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, like, huge nerd too, GSP.
Is he?
Like, loves Star Wars. He's in a couple of the Marvel movies. He's like a Captain America villain, but loves Star Wars, loves dinosaurs. Like, I interviewed him once and tried to tell him about like this new dinosaur show that was coming out, and he was like, brother, I already know. Like, he knew it already.
I watched interviews of him about other stuff, obviously. He just seems like such a great dude.
Oh, so great.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites of all time.
But you're right, though. It's like obviously Dana wants to put the best fighting product on in the octagon, but at the end of the day, he's trying to make it the biggest promotional one, the biggest one that can make money. So, and that's not really kind of what he's into, it seems like. So
yeah,
like Khabib, that's another thing. Like, there are a lot of linchpin moments that happen in those years.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And that's where it's like,
I was hoping you weren't going to bring up that name. But.
Yeah, but you know, it's those were just a lot of things that happened that once all those guys kind of left, I was like, damn, I just had a hard time buying into new guys. And there's a big like Chicago contingent, obviously, that I always get into. I was a big Blades guy, and that's kind of gone. That's kind of done.
Juliana Pena won the title for a second.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'm big time behind Bilal.
Yep.
Which is cool, you know.
He was supposed to fight in December. That got canceled. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, his foot or something like that.
He's got a bone infection in his toe. The pictures were nasty too.
Yeah.
Like his one toe blew up like a balloon.
Yeah.
I think they cut it open and put a fucking thing in there. That's stuff.
Bad. And I mean, it would have to be really bad for him not to fight.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys that, like, he did everything to get that moment. So
yeah,
you know, he definitely wanted to keep rolling.
And that's fighting too, is like, you go through these peaks and valleys. That's part of the thing with Dana White. He gets asked all the time, like, how do you create a new star like Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor? He's like, you don't. He's like, they just kind of show up.
Yeah, it's natural.
He's like, you could, help create these stars, but the once in a lifetime stars of Conor or Ronda or Brock Lesnar or whoever, it's like, you just got to wait around. And there will be waves of fighters that are huge, and there will be waves of fighters that are a little boring. People say this current crop of champions might be the most, like, quote unquote boring the UFC's had in a long time. It's a lot of wrestlers. It's a lot of people who aren't finishing fights on a consistent level.
Yeah, and I think I kind of buy into that.
Yeah.
I think I kind of believe that. And that's no...
You got to, like, have people like Alex Pereira to
for
balance
sure.
that out.
For sure, yeah.
We're getting knockouts in every fight.
And who's going to fucking fight every opportunity he gets.
Yep.
1,000%. And that's no knock on Dana. That's no knock on the UFC. We did the draft a couple weeks ago, and we did a Being a Billionaire draft.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw that, yeah.
And you had to own a company. I picked UFC.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's the greatest sport that's not one of the major three now going, you know? And I think it's just kind of riding the waves. Like, I know there's going to be a day where I get fully back into it. And I'm just waiting for those fighters that grab me back, you know?
Yeah.
And that's it. And it kind of feels like it's a little ripe for it to happen now, too.
It is. They're embracing the, like, BMF style of fighting, too. Like, the co-main event of this fight, of this card this weekend, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, 5-round co-main event. That's the perfect MSG, like, gladiator fight.
Yeah.
Seems like every MSG card, they have one of those. Usually involves Michael Chandler. Like, they had Chandler, Dustin Poirier here. They had Chandler Gaethje here, or was it Poirier Gaethje? I think it was Chandler Gaethje here. Cards kind of all blend in at this point, but even on the Contender Series, Dana's telling people, like, I don't want you to go in there and wrestle your way to a finish. Like, I want you to fucking go and get a finish, and don't leave it to the judges. And even someone like Mario Batista just went in and beat Jose Aldo, but he was like nut hugging him the whole time. And everyone is just like, that was fucking lame, dude.
Yeah,
we don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Like, we want to see you actively trying to submit or knock out your opponent. That's more important to, I think even the UFC has shown, like, if you go in there and win a couple boring fights wrestling wise, it's a lot less valuable to your career than going in there and getting into, like, if you get into 4 wars, you win 2, you lose 2. They would rather that. Michael Chandler's like, that's his career at this point. Like, Chandler, like, loses half his fights, but he's one of the top guys in the UFC because every fight you're like, holy fuck, he's going to leave it all on the line.
He's throwing bombs. Yeah, exactly. So obviously you get this question all the time, but do you think Conor fights again?
Of course he fights again. Fighting's in his blood, Eddie. He loves fighting more than anybody. It's his number one passion. The question more for me is, like, does he fight in the UFC again?
Yeah, what is he? He's promoting that bare knuckle a lot.
Promoting
right?
bare knuckle a lot. He has ownership in bare knuckle. He also has opportunities for sure to go box, like, in Saudi Arabia and stuff. He's talked about that. They wanted to put together like a McGregor-Pacquiao fight at one point. I think he will fight in the UFC again. I think he'll have a post-UFC career, if I had to guess, kind of like the current Mayweather, where it's like all of a sudden you hear, like, on a Thursday, you're like, McGregor's fighting tomorrow in some billionaire's backyard.
Yeah.
And he's fighting like a kickboxer you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then he goes in and, like, knocks him out real quick.
He's fighting John Gotti's brother.
Yeah. Like, I think he'll do that because he loves fighting so much and he loves the theatrics. I think when McGregor's like 50 years old, he'll be fucking walking out and doing the same shit and beating up someone you've never heard of.
Yeah, I do think it needs to happen in UFC. Like, at least one more time.
I think he'll have a UFC fight. The only issue is when you look at their schedule right now, it's like, all right, obviously he's not fighting by the end of the year. Beginning of next year, they're like going right to fucking Australia, and they've got like headliners booked for, I think, like, things are already in place for January, February, March. It's like, but he's not going to fight on this card in April. People are saying it could be till like July of next year. That feels like a lifetime away.
Well, what is he going to be at that point? 30?
He's still kind of young, like
35?
Might be around 35.
36 maybe?
Yeah.
I hope so, man. I mean, obviously a lot of the flair has died off after he got handled his last couple fights, but I'll still always tune in for that guy.
Of course. There's no walkout better.
No.
The foggy dew when that hits into the hypnotized, like, it's
Yeah.
the greatest walkout in combat sports.
Yeah.
And if he comes back and fucking wins, who knows? He comes back, wins one fight, he's in the title picture. That's McGregor. UFC will put him right in the title picture after one win.
Yeah, but then I don't want him to kind of do the song and dance again where he plays hardball and like just figure it out. Like
I don't even know if he's playing hardball. Like a lot of people are saying because the UFC, the ESPN rights deal is about to be up. People were saying like you could put McGregor on ice and like sell that to your next buyer of like, hey, you'll have the McGregor fight, you know, because McGregor for a year was like begging for a fight, and then he injured his toe, which as we talked about with Bilal, toe injuries are not to be messed with. You break that pinky toe, you can't be fighting.
For sure. Now, did the TKO thing change anything for UFC? Like, is that like, oh, we got this ton of make a splash, we merged with the
Doesn't feel like it.
No.
Like it just feels like they're doing more crossover stuff. Like they showed Jamal Hill at the at Monday Night Raw this week, and they show like they had Alex Pereira go to SmackDown and meet Roman Reigns. Like they're doing a little crossover stuff. Logan Paul brought the title to a UFC fight, but it doesn't seem like any of Dana's business is changing. Like Dana still seems like he's like, yeah, they're letting me do whatever.
What do you think of Bo Nickel?
I mean, he could be the best prospect in MMA. Like I have a lot more faith in him than someone like Khamzat Chimaev at this point. I think Khamzat's proved himself a little more. He's had better opponents. But Bo Nickel's an animal. That's why Trump's going.
Oh, because of Bo Nickel?
Because they're boys. Okay. They like have golf together and stuff.
Oh, no shit.
So he's told Rogan, he was like, yes, I'm going for my man Bo Nickel.
Bo Nickel.
He said it to him. It was before the election when he was on Rogan. He was like, if I lose the election, I'll be depressed and I won't go. But if I win, I will be there.
I remember Bo Nickel's just fantastic. Yeah. He'll be the best to go. Yeah, I think he's one of those guys in the distance. Like I've had my eye on a little bit. So like I'm dying to have these guys to like bring me back in.
Well, it's the wrestlers like that have the power. Like he's that perfect combination of he's the decorated Penn State wrestler. Everyone talked about his grappling game coming in. And then, like, he started landing uppercuts from hell that put, I think it was Val Woodburn, he uppercutted to hell. Yeah, I mean, he'll have to start getting better opponents, but it's hard to imagine anyone being able to put up with his wrestling as well. Like, he probably is the best wrestling in the division already.
Yeah, and that's, without saying, I just remember, too, obviously, Patty. I still love watching Patty. In his last fight, he looked great.
He looked amazing in his last fight. He could get like Renato Moicano in his next fight. That's who he's pushing for, which would be like massive. Like we're talking ranked opponents right there. Like already, Patty's ranked now, I think, but Moicano would be massive. That would be such a good build up too, because Moicano's so good on the mic.
Is there any chance that him and Conor would happen?
Patty and Conor? Nah, I don't think so.
Never.
I don't think so. Because Patty fights at 145, and Conor ain't making that anymore. Like even at 150 or at 155, Patty's fighting at 155 now, but I think he is.
Patty has no problem getting a little heavier. We know that.
Yeah, true. I don't think Conor will ever. I don't think he'll ever make 155 again. To be honest, no. Roadhouse, he packed on the pounds for that movie. Yeah, you watch Roadhouse?
I actually, dude. I make my before every year, every January. I make my list of movies. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I will get to it by the end of the year.
It's a fucking blast.
I heard it's. Have you? That's all. I also want to talk movies. Have you, like, do you have a top three, bottom three so far this year?
Oh yeah. I just.
It's been a bad movie year in my opinion.
It hasn't been great actually.
I think it's been pretty damn bad.
I just made a movie list on Letterboxd because I tried to like rank some of my favorite ones. So I'll tell you my top and bottom as well. So my top. Number one, Dune Part 2, I fucking loved. Are you in on the Dune movies?
I'm not in on the Dune movies.
You're not as sci-fi interested though, right?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I tried. My thing is I know the spectacle that it is, so I really tried to watch one before because I want to see 2 in the theater.
Yep.
I will do my best to watch 1 and 2 and then see 3 in the theater.
I thought 1 was okay. Like I thought 1 was good, I should say. I liked 1. 2 blew me away, and now when I watch 1, I think 1 is awesome. Like it retroactively. Deadpool and Wolverine, just like selfishly as a Marvel fan, delivered on everything I wanted it to be. So funny, so great action-wise, so rewatchable. One that I was surprised to have so high on my list, Furiosa. Did you see Furiosa?
Oh, no, I did not.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, and it didn't do that well.
No,
right?
It didn't. And neither did Fury Road, which I didn't know until recently. People were like, well, yeah, Fury Road bombed too.
I didn't know that either. I
was like, Fury Road bombed? What?
Because no movie has ever gotten... I shouldn't say that.
Like hyped so much on Twitter. Yes,
exactly.
People are like, it's the greatest movie of all time.
Yes.
I thought Furiosa was like maybe as good as that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I'm not like a crazy Mad Max, like I haven't seen like the originals or anything.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a crazy fandom attached to that. And then the other one I think worth shouting out. Have you seen Strange Darling?
No.
Holy fuck, Eddie. This is the one. If you're taking one recommendation from me on this podcast, it's Strange Darling. New movie, thriller, kind of told Tarantino style.
Okay.
Out of order. You don't really fully know what's going on at first. Mm-hmm. I would go, and I hate when people say this. I kind of roll my eyes, but go in blind.
Okay.
Don't like, I didn't even watch a trailer. I just saw J.J. Abrams tweeted like this long recommendation for the movie. Like I was blown away by this, whatever. I was like, oh, this was the movie. Strange Darling. It's awesome. And then the worst movies I saw this year, I didn't really like Trap. I didn't really like Love Lies Bleeding. Trap wasn't like horrible.
Trap wasn't horrible.
It was whatever.
Trap was like, I've never been so interested in a movie that's so bad.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Like especially by the third act. Love Lies Bleeding. Did you see that one? It's a weird Kristen Stewart movie.
Okay.
It was like well made. Like it's on most people's like top movies of the year list.
Yeah.
It just gets so artsy and weird. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, not for you.
I really didn't like the new Ghostbusters, which kind of broke my heart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have that pretty low on my list.
Yeah. And then Civil War was maybe my biggest disappointment of the year.
I have I have a list of like probably 18 movies here, and those are in the bottom 6.
Yeah. I love the guy that made Civil War.
Oh, yeah?
Ex Machina, Annihilation.
Annihilation's great.
Great movies.
Annihilation's great.
And I went into it like pretty hyped because of that. And the scene in the trailer with Jesse Plemons, which is probably the best scene in the movie.
I like the gas station scene a little more.
Gas station scene was good too.
Yeah, but I know what you're...
By the time they get to the White House, I'm like, all right, I'm here for this. We're in the White House. This is crazy. But it just felt like one note. The whole movie was like, all right, we get it. It's hard to fucking take pictures in the war.
I'm with it. I'm with you. I did not like that movie really at all. But I did. Did you see the Bob Marley movie?
No, I heard it. I think from you, I heard it was so bad. You texted me about it.
Robbie, it was a colossal piece of shit. It was sad. Like the music was great, obviously, but everything else was super hard to follow, and I don't think it did Bob Marley justice at all.
I got 2 texts about that movie in the same day, opposite reviews. You thought it was horrendous, and our former boss Erica thought it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
What are your top?
My top 3. And listen, I'm not like a we'll see. A lot of these movies won't get nominated. I'm like
I didn't see a lot of the
guy.
nominated. Yeah, agree.
It's not me.
I'll see them when the nominations start coming out.
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh, I guess these are the ones I got to catch up on.
Yes. Long Legs was my number 1.
Oh, I liked Long Legs.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. It wasn't as scary as what people reported it to be, but I still thought it was just a very solid horror movie.
Agreed. It was more interesting than it was scary.
Definitely.
Like by the end, were you in on that stuff too? Like the end lost me a little bit. Not completely. I still liked it.
Yeah, it got a little ridiculous for sure.
When I was just like, oh, we're doing devil shit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I could have done without that.
Yeah.
But the way they made Nicolas Cage look.
Yeah.
And
the way they shot him too, where they don't reveal his full face for a long time. It almost did like the Jaws thing with him. Yes, where it was like scarier to not see his full face for a little bit.
Yes.
And then when you see it, it's like, oh.
That general store scene.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like, it was like creepy.
Chilling.
Creepy without even having to be like real creepy. Like they didn't set it up with like the door shutting or, you know what I mean? There was
I thought the main actress was really good in it too.
Yeah, I agree. Number 2, I have Challengers.
Oh, Challengers was great.
Yeah.
Another one, I'm going to be honest. The ending lost me a little bit.
Ending was bad.
I
agree.
That final shot was just like, ugh, what happened there? But the whole movie was great.
Yeah, I agree. And it was not, like I keep going back to, it was not a great movie year. Like it was just, I think it was the top ones. I don't know if these sniff like another top 3 in another year. And then 3, it's, kiddish, but I thought Inside Out 2 was pretty good.
Oh, I liked Inside Out too.
Yeah.
I had really high hopes from the first movie because I loved the first movie. I didn't think it was as good as the first, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job.
Did you see Twisters?
Yes.
I had that pretty high on my list. I think that was like top 5 on my list, to be honest.
Number 6 for me.
I really liked it. I was like, that was exactly what I wanted it to be.
I liked
like
it more than the first movie.
So did I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, and also I went on opening night and they gave us magnets. I don't know if they gave you the same thing.
No, I didn't get that.
It's like a car magnet with the Glenn Powell Twisters logo. It's like the bull or whatever. So as a joke, after the movie, I slapped it on my car for a Twitter video, and then I like went to peel it off right after my fiance took the video. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna take it off?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess not." So since Twisters has come out, I've been driving around with a Twisters logo on the side of my car.
Glenn Powell, Robbie Fox.
Yeah, I had Twisters high, and I also had the new Alien high. I loved the new Alien.
I embarrassingly haven't seen the first one. So,
Yeah.
and I heard you don't have to watch it, but I'm like one of those people where I
You
gotta
should
watch that.
You'll
before I
appreciate
see
it more. I didn't really get into the Alien franchise till this summer. Actually,
Yeah.
I had seen the first one. I thought it was good, but it never like gripped me. And then this summer, I watched Prometheus for the first time, which I thought was very good.
Okay.
Made me go back. I watched the first one again, appreciated it a little more, and then I watched Aliens, the James Cameron one, which I thought was way better. And I know a lot of people, it's like you either like the horror of the first one or you like the action of the second one. The new one is the perfect combination.
Mix
It's a little bit of horror, a little bit of action. It's like, it feels almost like fan servicey, how many little nods they do and how they combine it, but it's really good. The new one's awesome.
And they're making another one, I believe, right?
Yes, I think it's the same director, Fede Alvarez, who did Don't Breathe.
Okay.
Really,
That's your
really
movie.
cool movie. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
Robbie Fox movie.
I really like that movie.
Did you see the second one?
No, I read the plot and
Oh,
it just
we talked
seems,
about it. Yeah,
it
yeah.
just seemed too goofy.
You got to watch it, though.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, at some point you got to get to it.
Yeah.
I lived like Deadpool and Wolverine. I had that at number 7, right behind
Yeah.
Twisters. And you know what I really enjoyed?
What?
Was Beetlejuice.
Oh, I did too. I watched it very
Yes.
recently. And one where I was like, damn, it was a worthy sequel.
It was.
That was like, I'm down for a third, to be
For
honest.
sure, yeah. It was.
They got to do a third just to complete the title thing.
Yeah, yeah, they do. They do, but I don't think Tim Burton's into it.
Is he not? Did he say he's not?
From what he said, he's like, all right, well, it took 30 years to do the second one, so
Yeah.
I'll see you in another 30, and I'll be
Dude,
like
don't do
88.
that. Like, while Keaton is still around, and the backstory they gave him in Beetlejuice 2 when they cut back to like Beetlejuice before he's undead or whatever.
Yeah.
It was great. They had that, the baby Beetlejuice.
Yeah, there were so many. The only, like, listen, it's not without flaws. Like, they introduced like 4 plot lines that they didn't
Yes.
need to do. There was way too many. Like, didn't really resolve with the woman who wanted to kill him, and then
Yeah.
there was a lot of things they didn't need to do. But overall, I was like, damn, that movie's a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
another one where I think I like it better than the original.
Oh, better?
I think so.
I don't know if I like it better, but I appreciated that they stayed true to it and didn't do like a Beetlejuice is in the whole movie. He like has as much screen time in this one as he does in the first one.
Yeah.
It's like they use him for like 10, 15 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
They used him well. And Michael Keaton just like has fun in that role, clearly.
Yes.
When he drops the end, he's like, "See you later, fucker." Boom. Like,
Yeah. Where'd you stand on Joker?
oh, I just watched it. Worse than I could have imagined. Oh, that's not on my movie list. That would be worst. That would be the worst
Okay,
movie I
that'd
saw
be-
all
okay.
year. Did you agree?
Listen, it clearly was not even close to the stratosphere the first one was in because I really liked the first one. I thought it was bad. It wasn't horribly worst piece of shit I've ever seen.
That's what I thought of it for sure. After like it was 5 minutes after credits ran, and I was like, I don't think I remember what happened. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that happens in the movie.
What they were given and what they could have done is an absolute travesty. You get Gaga, and you're
The movie should have been about her.
Yeah, for sure.
They should have just done a movie about like a crazy fucking, like based around one of those Manson fans that wanted to marry him in prison or whatever. But there's just a lot of weird shit where it's like, all right, I guess the guy who just murdered like 6 people is allowed to go to music class with a bunch of girls too.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of weird, like, none of it really made sense to me. Nothing really happened. Felt like they wanted to make a movie about Arthur Fleck again and not the Joker. That was my issue with the first one, too. I think the first one's like a great, well-made movie, but it pisses me off a little bit that it's a Joker movie. Because there's, like, not a second in that movie where I'm like, that guy reminds me of the Joker.
Yeah, it's more about other.
It's like an
Arthur Fleck.
incel, like, it's
Yeah.
not a guy that could outsmart Batman.
For sure.
Or stand toe-to-toe with him.
For sure.
Which I know is my own. That's like a nerdy gripe.
Yeah.
But I watched them back to back as well because my fiance hadn't seen the first one and she was curious about the second one because of the bad reviews. So I was like, all right, you got to see the first one though, because the first one is really well made, and you could see like where this came from. It was the most depressing 4 hours of our lives, just like going into that Gotham City world where everything is bleak and dark and twisted.
And even if you don't like the first one, you have to acknowledge the drop off from 1 to 2.
Oh my God. The first one's at least like it's obviously like a Taxi Driver inspired like plot line, but you could follow it. The second one, anytime you get a little interested in it, they break into a jazz number where Joaquin, I thought he was singing like Tim Robinson, where he's like, the bones and the skeletons and the jokers.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Actually, me and Tommy agreed on this. Tommy Smokes, big Batman fan, underratedly, hates the first Joker movie. Watched the second Joker movie. We both agreed we didn't hate the ending. The ending redeems it a little bit.
Makes you wonder what they're going to do with it next.
You think they're going to go back to? I think it bombed so bad. Yeah, I think it's dead.
I don't know what, like, no Joker IP will ever die. Right.
And I'm Jokered out too. Like Barry Keoghan is playing the Joker in the Batman universe.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping, like, I'm sure he'll get a scene in the Batman too. I'm hoping it's just a scene though.
Here's a thought to chew on. Is the Joker character, and this might be this is a thought to chew on, everyone. I'm not saying this. I'm asking the question. Is a Joker character possibly just easy to play?
Nate has this take.
Does he?
Nate has said this all the time. He's like, you system quarterback because you can play the Joker and you win an Oscar.
But everybody who plays it knocks it out of the park.
Yes, but look at the people that have played the Joker. Not everybody, because Jared Leto fumbled it, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch those.
He wasn't horrible, to be honest. Like, he just wasn't, like, memorable or very good, in my opinion. He was kind of horrible when he came back in the Zack Snyder one, because they just wanted to be edgy for the sake of being edgy, and he goes to Batman. He's like, you want to fucking reach around? It's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? But it's like, they got Cesar Romero originally, and then 66. Jack Nicholson, one of the greatest actors of all time. Then you get Heath Ledger, one of the greatest performances ever given.
Yep.
Then you immediately get Jared Leto and doesn't work. And then you get Joaquin Phoenix. It's like they cast the greatest of all time.
Who's the new guy?
Barry Keoghan,
all right,
who's another great one.
All right, Barry Keoghan will be the test.
But it's like, he is kind of the test.
We'll see.
He's on that verge.
Yeah.
I don't love the way his Joker looks, but I'll warm up to it.
Yeah. Because I think everyone's like, all right, Joaquin, like, you have to do something great.
And it's an amazing performance.
It is.
Joaquin gives the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, his performance isn't bad in the second one either. Like, I don't like the jazz numbers, but in the actual scenes, him and Gaga, I thought were, like, not the issue. They were both pretty good.
They were, it's like the Bears, bad coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Robbie, anything else to end us off here? Gladiator 2, coming out, so that's like the big one.
Yeah.
To end the
I'm
year.
not a huge Gladiator 1 person. I like it, but I'm not like Ralph Cifaretto about it, or I'm quoting it every week. But the second one's getting rave reviews. That might be one of those where I might like the sequel better.
Yeah, we'll see.
I like all the actors in the sequel.
Okay. Yeah, obviously.
Like Pedro, fucking Paul Mescal,
Denzel.
Joseph Quinn, Denzel, and they're flooding the Coliseum, boat battles in it.
Yeah.
I'm there for that.
Then I got Heretic and Nosferatu is the other ones that I want to see before the end of the year.
Both big on my watch list. Heretic, the trailer. Oh my God,
Looks
so good.
Yeah.
I love Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
And the candle turnaround.
Yeah.
Like, what a moment that is.
What a fucking renaissance for him.
Yeah.
He was
Did you watch The Undoing with him?
No.
Oh, another good recommendation.
I just watched him in Wonka, and he thought it was good.
Bro, I didn't see Wonka. The Undoing is a good show,
Really?
miniseries, where it's like you don't know whether or not to trust him. He's been accused of murder.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Really good.
I've heard of this. I'm bad with TV. I'm decent with new movies. So,
Dude, Strange Darling. That's the movie. I want you to watch it and text me what you think.
okay, I know, because we do these sometimes where it's like, hey, I want your take on this. So, Robbie, it was fun.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
you
Eddie.
for chopping it up. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. That's it for today. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.